Hello everybody, thanks for joining us today for Big Data Talent Management webinar. This is Nathan Nichols, Marketing Coordinator for Metascale, and today we will be having Ankur Gupta, Head of Sales and Marketing, and Justin Shepard, Head of Business Operations for Metascale, discussing solutions to the scarcity of big data talent. And with that, I'll pass it over to Justin Shepard.
Great. Thank you, Nathan. And thank you, everyone, for attending today. We're looking forward to sharing a little bit about Metascale's perspective on building big data talent capability and the skills and expertise to both manage and build applications and solutions on the Hadoop platform environment and other big data technologies. So the way we were going to talk about this today was actually share a little bit about our experience in building teams, and specifically with our heritage being sort of coming from and being born out of a large company like Sears, how we went about this initiative at Sears, and some of the ways we built our expertise and capability on these newer Hadoop skill sets, and build out a team and a capability in that way. And then we'll transition later on and just tell you a little bit about how Metascale is helping other companies do the same, and to leverage some of our experiences in this area around building the skills and talent you need to build solutions on this technology. So to start, we'll come back to the enterprise big data challenge, and I know as many of you are experiencing, you may even get to the point where you've identified the use case, you've identified the specific technology you want to use, whether it is Core HDFS and MapReduce and some of the ecosystem tools. But then you're faced with a different type of problem, is that you need a mix of skills to both develop those solutions and then support and manage them on an ongoing basis. And all of this is happening within the current IT environment. So as these tools are new, they're relatively new and growing, those skills are relatively scarce right now in the market. So whereas some more developed technologies, you may easily be able to go out and find resources in the marketplace and talent to fill those roles, they're not as readily available in this space. And those that are available may be tough to find or tough to get on board. And in the midst of that, some of the legacy skills are starting to phase out, and so some of the skill sets you have in-house may not be a perfect fit for what you're looking for the future. And so a lot of companies we talk to are facing these issues today, and they're looking at how to make that transition, how to essentially build this capability in this new technology area in a way that's effective and relatively fast as they're moving forward with these programs and have commitments and deliverables that they need to meet. So one of the things we wanted to talk about was some of our journey, and specifically as Sears, how we went about creating what is today our Hadoop Center of Excellence. So today Sears has a Hadoop Center of Excellence, and it's comprised of over 200 resources based both in the US and in India, who manage the entire Hadoop ecosystem. And that really goes all the way from solution architecture to data modeling to development on the platform and actually writing code and testing, all the way to administration and operations. So how do you effectively maintain a Hadoop environment, keep it up and running, make sure it's stable and operational, and that you're meeting the SLAs that the business expects. And so we've really, I think through that journey we've had over the last 3 or 4 years in building that capability, we've developed a set of principles around how we developed our own in-house capability and how we would recommend others look at that capability and how they might approach it. And so we wanted to talk a little bit about these principles to start. And these really kind of come from our learnings and really some of the things that we've experienced over the last 3 or 4 years. So to start, just looking at the list, one thing we learned very quickly is that hiring from outside is not sufficient, that you must look to grow some of this capability organically from within. And that will change in time, so I don't think this resource gap and this challenge will be here forever. I think and it's even in the last year or two, we've seen improvements in the marketplace in terms of the availability of these skills, but it's still somewhat early. And so I think what we faced early on is that we couldn't just go out and hire this team and recruit them from the outside, that we really had to grow them from within. And there was a number of ways we did that, which we'll talk about, but I think there's a combination. I wouldn't say this is exclusive to anything else. I think we certainly leveraged the help of outside folks and consultants, for that matter, to help get us started and really to help accelerate what we did. But really, our biggest gains have been over time is really looking at really the talent we had in-house and those who had transferable skills and applicable skills, and to help them develop into Hadoop experts. So that's number one. Number two is really identifying key bridge technologies. So one interesting thing in our learning is that some of the technologies in Hadoop, whether it be developing on Hive or MapReduce or Pig or some of these common tools, is that there are actually a number of bridge technologies, legacy technologies and skill sets that are very transferable to Hadoop. And we've seen technical resources in these areas make the transition very easily and be very effective and capable talent in these areas in a very short amount of time. And a good example of that is in that Sears is a pretty large mainframe shop, and we had COBOL programmers. And one of the interesting things we found is that as we looked at the Pig language, and we really started to do a lot of our scripting work and development work in Pig, that because of the procedural nature of the language, that many of our COBOL programmers could very easily adapt and pick up Pig. It was very natural for them to do that. And so we developed some in-house training classes, and in just a matter of 2 weeks, we were able to equip legacy COBOL programmers as Hadoop Pig developers. And that's just one example of taking sort of taking existing skill sets and experiences and expertise and being able to effectively transition it and turn those into Hadoop skill sets. So I think that's one thing we'd say is look for ways to leverage your existing talent base and your existing team, and look for those bridge technologies that could transfer quickly to Hadoop skill sets. A third one is around foundation skills. So especially in the area of sort of MapReduce development, you may not easily find folks with years of development on that platform, and so, or in the MapReduce framework. But what we did early on is look for folks who could develop, and we specifically looked at Ruby as a core development skill. And by bringing on strong Ruby developers, we found that they could easily, with that foundation skill, they could easily climb the learning curve and begin to do MapReduce development. And so this kind of goes hand in hand with the bridge technologies, but if you're looking outside, you don't always necessarily have to look for those with years and years of experience in these development technologies on Hadoop. You can find some of those foundation skills, and those folks can often move quickly up that learning curve. Early exposure to real-world use cases, and this is really key, is especially in using these other principles in terms of building your team, is to, as early as possible, give these folks real-world exposure to actual use cases, and minimize the time doing sort of proof of concepts or the development lab. And some of this may be just really plugging them into the development work that's getting done to build the production applications. Because that's the best way to get applied, hands-on experience for the team, and to help them have the experience they need to develop production applications down the road. So as much as possible, getting that early exposure to the actual use cases themselves. And that may involve running them in a pilot mode, but gets them the exposure and experience they need, and really, really effectively test. It gets them out of that classroom setting and into a real-world application setting. And then just to note about data scientists, I mean, there's a lot of talk about data scientists, who they are, what that role looks like, and I don't think there's, I think there's a lot of differing views out there about who is a data scientist. I think in our experience, They need to come with the capability to understand data. I think having that traditional statistics or mathematical background is helpful. But I think something that's sometimes overlooked is how important it is that the data scientists really need to understand the business. And in many cases, I think we've found having them come from the business and cross-training them in some of the data or technology skills that they need can be as effective as hiring from the outside with sort of a broad-based sort of analytical background. And that really comes to is because data scientists need to understand how to manipulate and use data and extract insight from data, but at the end of the day, they also need to intimately know the business and the subject matter of the business and the strategy. And some of that obviously can be learned by folks coming in, but you certainly get a leg up. And I think we'd say look at a cross-functional team where you're bringing together folks who are oriented that way from the business with folks who may have some more of the hard skills around the stats, the math, or the technology itself. And I think the final point would be, build a global team with a diverse capability and reach. So look to build a team that crosses borders and gives you reach, gives you access to the talent sort of that's available in different global markets, and that can help obviously help you diversify your talent base and where your talent is coming from, but also the skill sets and the perspectives that you'll get. So we definitely encourage building out that team and make sure they're globally based. So from those principles, we just want to share a little more, just practically speaking, some of the results we saw from applying some of these principles in our own experience. And we started with Ruby MapReduce. Like I mentioned before, we hired folks with those key foundation skills around Java MapReduce, or around Ruby and Java, and found that they could easily scale the learning curve around MapReduce. We did find, and our experience has been, that MapReduce is a powerful tool to use, but from a maintenance, training, and support perspective, it was a little more difficult. And so we did evolve from Ruby, MapReduce to Hive, and we did use Hive in some of our initial use cases. It is easy to use and experiment with. And again, with the SQL-like abstraction, it's very, it's much more accessible to cross-train folks with those types of backgrounds to work with this language and develop logic in this language. I think our experience has been, we haven't gotten the performance we've been looking for out of Hive, and so we've evolved to Pig, and this is still, I think, I would say one of our preferred languages to develop in, and we use Java UDF extensions when we need more precision handling. But Pig is where I think we've had the most success, and I think that in part comes from our heritage with a lot of a mainframe shop and being able to move folks with that background to become Pig developers. And so that in our experience, that's been an area where we've had a lot of success. And so I think everyone has that journey to follow, and I think your experiences may be different, but I think in general I'd say it's not a one-stop solution. So I think it's a combination of getting some early help from experts in the field who can help get a leg up and accelerate your efforts. I think it's looking at how you can grow organically from within. You're not going to be able to hire every resource you need. So how do you develop and grow the team? And then combine that with some strategic hires from the outside. So figure out where you want to make your investments and make some key hires to fill a specific skill set. And I think the combination of those, that approach and strategy can be really effective for building the talent you need. So with that, we've spent some time talking about our experience and sort of generally how we approach the talent problem. I'm going to turn it over to Ankur, and he's going to talk a little bit about how Metascale could specifically help in some of these areas. And so we'll turn it over and we'll continue the presentation.
Thanks, Justin. So as you guys heard, when Sears started his journey several years ago using Hadoop as a core platform to manage big data and solve many of our IT problems, building Talent ground up was no exception to us. So we obviously had to learn in the hard way, and we had a lot of learnings and developed capabilities. that are available to other companies like yourself through Metascale. And what we have figured out, again, through trial and method, as to what works and what doesn't work. So as part of our enterprise competency services from Metascale, we offer talent development as one of the services. And I wanted to take you through three major offerings within this area. And our goal is obviously to educate you so you learn what we offer to the market and take benefit from what we have developed internally. And while doing so, we hope to be a partner with you and drive it for you. So our offerings are in the three main areas for our talent development. So one is build, operate, transfer method. As you can see, the goal, if you are in the earliest stage of developing talent for Hadoop or other big data technologies, this methodology is particularly helpful because we become your hiring and training engine to do that. The goal is through this method, we help organizations build your future teams and create a sustainable pipeline of talent in an organization. So as you might be looking at, there are a ton of stats out there where the demand for Hadoop resources is about 4 to 5 times higher than the availability. So clearly, this is a rare talent, and a lot of companies, a lot of clients come to us and they ask us, what is a job description for a data scientist? How do I make sure that somebody who's saying MapReduce, Java, or even COBOL skills, are they a right fit for my organization? We have gone through this journey in the last several years, and we have a good understanding of what kind of resources would work or not. So what we do is we become your hiring arm. We develop the talent for you. We hire resources for you, and then take them through our rigorous training module, which is they work in our organization on real projects. So they work on real enterprise usage of Hadoop, and we train them on our use cases, real enterprise use cases, and that's how they get to learn and develop their caliber in real environment. And then those resources are available to you to hire for full time. So essentially, you're taking the heavy lifting off of you because we become that hiring and training arm. But then you also always have the choice to pick and choose who you want. So ultimately, you decide on what resources will fit into your organization as we develop this talent pool for you. So as you can see in the next slide, there are, as part of this method, there are multiple features. We work with you to define roles and kick off the process for recruitment. We train them on the job, as I said before. So once we get these competent candidates within our system, they are actually working on real Metascale projects. So as you know, Sears is one of the largest shop of Hadoop technologies. We have a ton of use cases and opportunities for this talent to develop and grow their expertise in Hadoop area. And ultimately, as a company, you're very, very low risk because you get a buyout option and you can pick up and choose which talent you want to keep in or not. So ultimately, it's a win-win situation because we, as a company, get to serve you, accelerate your effort in developing that talent in big data area, and you get to pick and choose the top caliber. A graphical representation of that is shown on the next page. As you could see, there is a time frame of, as we say, roughly first 3 months where we work with you, define jobs, start kick off the recruitment and do the Hadoop training, and then the next 3 months is all about on-the-job, real enterprise usage of Hadoop, and then those talent is available to you to hire, to work for you immediately. And this time frame is just indicative, depending on what specific requirement a company has. We have this time frame has varied for us depending on a client's specific need, number of resources required, and complexity of technologies needs. Our next offering is in pure staff augmentation area. So for companies that are looking to, the companies that have made a decision to get, kickstart their big data journey and using Hadoop to manage big data and analytics, and they're looking for resource help. We have, as Justin just mentioned, a large Hadoop center of excellence with resources both in on-site and offshore, and they are available to other companies to work on their Hadoop technologies or Hadoop projects. What I do want to mention is that these resources come from enterprise, and while they are expert in Hadoop, they also have extensive experience in other technologies. So whether it's Teradata, IBM mainframes, Netezza, or any other technology you talk about. So they can really provide a real enterprise experience of how Hadoop fits into your ecosystem, in your IT shop specifically. So these guys, this is the talent that, again, very high caliber Hadoop resources, but they can come into your organization and they can quickly identify what kind of Hadoop technology will fit into your system, what specific Hadoop architecture or distribution will work for you or not, and essentially help you actually develop a lot of use cases moving forward. So coming in, we have had cases where we come in and realize that we could actually save money by doing legacy modernization while we're working on analytics, and we could suggest a use case or two. So I think having this varied experience in other technologies is a huge help that's generally not available outside. And our final offering is in pure training and certification area. So this is a somewhat new offering from Metascale. We have launched a business arm called Metascale Tech Academy, which is all about providing training and certification. So if you already have resources in your organization, they are looking to upgrade their skills and learn about Hadoop while you may be in very early stage of exploring big data technologies, or maybe thinking, let me learn about Hadoop and see how it works, and then maybe 3 months or 6 months down the line, I'll see if I can find use cases. Or you may be actively working in big data technologies and you're looking to upgrade skills of other resources you may have in your organization and train them on Hadoop technologies. What I do want to mention here is, again, we have courses in all Hadoop, various Hadoop technologies and ecosystems, and these courses can be very much customized to your specific needs. So, for example, today we have 4-day Hadoop developer course with modules on Pig, Hive, HBase, Scoop, Flume, and whatnot. But with these modules can further be customized to your needs. So if you're looking for a 1-day Pig training, we can, again, customize our offerings specific to your needs. It's important to note that these courses are designed by our enterprise architects and technologists. So these are the folks who have lived and worked on Hadoop technologies for a long time. So they understand enterprise challenges. And our courses are very much built around how to train someone in enterprise usage of Hadoop. What kind of challenges you would face when you're working on Hadoop and related technologies in an enterprise. And so our use cases are really built on that. We don't use general use cases such as find a word in a dictionary or something like that. Our use cases are very enterprise specific. They're designed by technologists, and they are the training is also provided by those experts. As you can see on the next page, the course instructors are industry leader in implementing Hadoop. So again, you cannot put pretty much every possible use case in a courseware, no matter what. So when we are actually teaching our students, you always have questions that are that could be very specific to your environment. So that's when you have these industry experts in Hadoop that are training your resources on Hadoop technologies and can really help you with your Hadoop implementation in an enterprise, or help you grow your talent on Hadoop-related technologies. As you can go on the next page, I think I've already mentioned it. Training is customized. It's instructor-led training program, and hands-on exercise that are very enterprise-specific. The use cases are what we have felt in our enterprise, the challenges we have seen, and some of those specific use cases have been given as part of our training module. So where do we start? As Justin mentioned earlier, the learning curve for us was steep initially. We had to, we made some mistakes, we learned from them, we changed our course path, and then we developed a lot of capabilities and talent. And that's primarily the reason, actually. That was the genesis behind formation of Metascale. Metascale was formed so we can accelerate your big data journey, and developing talent is no exception there. So what we say is, whether you do it in-house, whether you develop Hadoop talent in-house, or you work with a partner like us, there are a couple of things you want to keep in mind. Hadoop is a technology where your existing DBAs may not be able to help immediately. We think that resources that are comfortable in, say, Linux space or resources that are Linux heavy, they may be a great place to start. If you have existing data warehouse user, there may be slight departure, but the technologies are related, and they are very important because I think there's a common misconception is whether Hadoop is a replacement for your existing EDW, and what we say is it's an augmentation to your existing EDW. Hadoop can actually help take heavy processing off your EDW, but it cannot fully replace. So folks who are already conversant in the existing technologies in your EDW, this may be a slight departure, but their knowledge, their background is very, very important. So adding further to that, what you want to do is you can pick up some of these resources, those who are expert in or have background in Linux, Unix, SQL, and specifically Java. There could be a good resources to start with. And then you can plan to put them on one of the training modules, whether you do it in-house, you do it through Metascale. However you go for it, you pick up some of these resources and take them through this 4-day Hadoop courses so they understand related technology. It's important to understand that Hadoop is an ecosystem. It's not just one technology. It's an architecture, it's an ecosystem to manage your big data, and there are various technologies underneath it. So it's important that your resources understand the whole landscape, and while you may not need every component of that technology, you may need a few. So it's important to understand that you have exposure to all those components, and you know which one to use and which one not to. So finally, I think I've already covered it. Our Metascale Tech Academy is one of the ways to kickstart talent development for your resources. So if you're looking for us to come in and train a bunch of IT resources on your side and drive a customized training, it's one of the offerings we do, along with, as I said, staff augmentation and build operate transfer methodology that we have. So again, all of this is available to you. While we have touched base on this briefly, I do want to mention that if you're looking for additional resources or in-depth information, we'll be more than happy to set up dedicated times with you and other team members and provide you more related details. So I think we are on our mark of 30 minutes right now. So let's jump into any question you may have.
All right, thanks, Encore, and thanks, Justin. We do have several questions that have come in through chat, and if anybody else has anything else they want to ask, go ahead and send me a message over chat, and we'll get to as many as we can in the next 10 or 15 minutes. So just kick it off, the first question we have is, how long does it take someone with solid Java skills to become a Hadoop developer?
Well, this is Justin. I think I can take that one. It doesn't take long if you give them the right assignments and the use cases, sort of the applied experiences early on. I think we found, there is some initial orientation that needs to be done if they have no exposure to the MapReduce framework and how Hadoop works. There will need to be some initial introduction to that framework, how it operates. But short of that, I'd say 3 months is sort of an onboarding period maybe to start getting oriented to the framework, how to develop in it, how to write effective MapReduce in that environment. But beyond that, I think they can in a matter of 3 months, they can be productive. And then within 6 months to a year, they can be, obviously highly contributing resources to a project. So all in all, I don't think it's a long time frame. I think there's some initial training, or there's a lot of resources. I mean, the great thing about this technology today is because of the amount of interest and growth in this area, there's a lot of resources out there. Because it's an open source product, there's a lot that's freely available for folks with maybe just a Java background to get up to speed. So I think 3 months to get up to speed, and then contributing within 6 to 12 months for that.
All right, great. Kind of a follow-up question to that is, what do you recommend for someone who is starting to develop Hadoop skills on their own?
Okay, I'll start on that. Maybe Justin can add more if need be. So I mean, there are multiple resources available. Hadoop is an open source technology, so there is a lot of resources. In fact, free resources. I would say if you're starting on your own, it's not a bad idea to Google it and learn some of the technologies that are out there, understand the methodologies involved and the ecosystem of Hadoop. But then from there, I suggest do a professional course. And again, coming from Metascale, I would say do our course because we would provide that enterprise-specific Hadoop training and enterprise-specific challenges that you would not get. But I do think that maybe the first step to do on your own is there is a ton of information available online. So take some time, educate yourself on Hadoop and related technologies. So when you go to a more professional course, you can add on to those learnings and both contribute to the class and learn from the interaction.
All right. Another question we have here is kind of on the hot topic of data scientists. I'll direct this one to you, Justin. What is the career progression for a data scientist?
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting question because I think it could be many different directions. I think because the data scientist sort of bridges the business, understanding the business and the levers and the drivers for that business, as well as understanding the technology and then understanding approaches for extracting insight from data. I think there's probably many various paths a data scientist could follow in an organization. I could see them staying within the business and growing within that business. I could see them going, some organizations are beginning to develop, sort of dedicated analytical organizations internally. They could certainly obviously be part of that. Or technology. I mean, maybe, depending, I think, on maybe where they, in terms of their desires and interests, the direction they're heading, I think I could see them going up, entering in the more and more senior levels, running entire data scientist teams. But really, I think this is the type of role that really could have a future path in either the business or on the technology side as well. This is I think this is a really interesting area because it's developing so much. I mean, even in the next year or two, we could see a lot of change in how data scientists are working within organizations.
All right. So speaking of organizations, what is the approach to identifying the necessary skills within your existing team?
I can take that one. I think one of the things that's important to note is it's probably not just the technology skills that are important. I think and so maybe part of it would be also what is the necessary attitude or approach to be looking for. Because I do think the skills are one thing, but then also having the interest and the desire to sort of move out of your comfort zone in a sense and be open to new technologies is key to identifying those who might be good candidates for becoming part of the Hadoop team. I know in our experience, we just had some folks who, whether it was just in their DNA, they came across, when they were presented with this opportunity to cross-train and develop skills in Hadoop tools, they just took to it naturally. Like it was a natural progression for them, and they became highly contributing members very quickly. So I think there is some prerequisite skills you're looking for, so background in certain technologies, but I think it's as much about identifying the necessary attitudes and personalities and those who would be open to a sort of a significant change to what they're doing and the skill sets. And I think you'll find a lot of receptivity to it from the right people. And so I think that's part of that identification process.
Okay. The next question we have here refers to the global strategy, staffing strategy. Mm-hmm. What sort of skills do you develop onshore versus offshore?
I can talk about what we've done so far. So we've actually do some of both in both places, but I'd say we tend to do, we've done more of our architectural work, so solution architecture, and some of our data governance and data modeling onshore. And then offshore, we've developed sort of, if you call it some architecture skills, but also our build factory. So the ability to take a given architecture or a solution that's been designed or spec'd out with the business, and then to build it in a very sort of a very scalable model. So we've definitely had, it's a tightly knit team from a collaboration perspective in terms of solution building, but sort of business requirements gathering, and some of this is traditional to this kind of model, but customer-facing requirements gathering, developing the use cases, the solution architecture onshore, close to the customer, but then a very scalable, highly flexible build model that happens predominantly offshore, where we can continually build, test, deploy solutions. Then from an operations standpoint, I think that is something where having the global model is extremely helpful, because it gives you that follow-the-sun coverage. So building a global team to manage the 24/7 support and operation of these environments, particularly when you're running production workloads and they need to be up, that having that global team that can support and do the handoffs around the clock is critical. So I think there it's sort of same skills around, but it gives you the global reach and coverage is vital to managing the operations.
All right, thanks, Justin. We are getting a few questions about the training offering. So people are looking for a little more details on the actual course. One of the questions here is, do you teach writing MapReduce jobs in Ruby? So if you could go into maybe a little more detail about the course.
Yeah, so our detailed course content will be available on our website soon, and you can look at the specific topics. But if you're looking for any immediate information, send us a note at info@metascale.com or call us at our 1-800 number, and we'll be happy to provide you more detail on our Hadoop developer course. But as I said before, these courses are fairly customizable for a corporate. So if your organization is looking for a specific skill set on specific technologies, we can help provide training on that.
All right, and with that, looks like we're at time, so we'll wrap it up for today. And again, like Encore said, if you have any other questions or want specific details on our courses or anything else that Metascale offers, or just questions about big data and Hadoop in general, you can reach us at the contact information on the screen there. Our 800 number, 1-800-234-8769, or email us, contact@metascale.com, and of course visit our website, metascale.com. We have lots of resources there for your help. And with that, thank you, and thank you, Encore and Justin, and have a great day.
Thanks, guys.